Alright, this is episode 2 of the Majin Trunks saga, and in this episode, Majin Trunks is going to fight the androids. And I'm going to let you guys know off top that this Trunks is going to be more brutal and he's going to talk a little differently. Obviously, that'll be because of the Majin influence, so keep that in mind moving forward. And let's begin. Trunks makes his way to the entrance of Babidi's ship with a darker outlook on life due to his Majin influence. But before he exited the ship, he decided to send a minion to hell with his new power, and he chose the soldier that called him pathetic when he first entered to do his trials against Yakon and Pui Pui. The other subordinates of Babidi were terrified by the display and cowered in a corner, and Majin Trunks simply continued to walk toward the exit with a sinister grin on his face. Trunks was ready for war, but was annoyed as he looked around, and the reason he was annoyed was because he couldn't sense the energy of the androids, obviously, because they don't have an energy signature. So he would have to wait for those machines to make the first move, and he would follow the smoke wherever it came. And he wouldn't have to wait that long because 10 minutes later the ground shook and he looked into the sky and saw black smoke, and he knew it had to be those deviants. So he blasted off into that direction like a Majin missile ready to test his new power. Dabura asked his master if he believed that Trunks would come out victorious, and Babidi shrugged his shoulders and told him it didn't really matter because regardless of the outcome, he would get some more energy to revive Majin Buu, and the pair watched Trunks fly to the trouble through their crystal ball. Android 17 was in a mood for a new game he made up called Cage the Rats, and the goal was simple. It was to force as many humans as possible from hiding into one particular spot before he blasted them all away. And he was enjoying himself, but Android 18 wasn't interested in the game and was getting more bored by the second. But the twins were about to spice up their day because Majin Trunks had arrived on the scene. The pair were surprised to see Trunks confront them alone and decided to tease him by asking him if Gohan had ran away after his last ass whooping. And Trunks frowned at the statement and told them that Gohan was sleeping at the moment, and he was going to put them both to sleep permanently on this day. The duo ignored his threat and practically pretended he wasn't there, and then Android 17 spoke to his sister directly. Alright, 18, you weren't really interested in my last game, so I'll tell you what. Let me step on this twerp by myself, and we can go to the mall and get you some clothes after. And Android 18 told Android 17 that he had a deal. Android 17 stepped up to Trunks, who had somehow gotten a little taller since the last time they'd seen him. He also got a little more muscular, as you can see his clothes being more tighter on his body, with veins all over him. And he smirked before saying, "Look, kid, just because you hit a growth spurt and got a face tattoo doesn't mean you stand a chance against me." And Trunks got closer to the android in front of him and responded with a smirk of his own. "I just hope that your bandana can soak up the blood that comes out of your mouth." And before 17 could react to his response, Trunks punched 17 in the face with enough power to put him on his pockets with a bleeding lip, and this action surprised both of the twins. Trunks was grinning so wide Android 17 couldn't believe that punch actually hurt him, and Android 18 started laughing and pointing at her brother for the position he was now in, and the teen was now pissed off. Trunks was grinning so wide after his attack, but 17 promised him that he was going to wipe that smile off his face as he got up with a look on his face that could kill. And the real clash began, and 17 and Trunks started trading blows in the middle of the city like superpowered brawlers, and they kicked up debris in the process as they went fist to fist against each other, both fighting to kill the other in their aggressive dance. Android 17 couldn't believe how much stronger Trunks had gotten since the last time he saw him, but he was also confident that this boost wouldn't be enough to make a difference, and Trunks, on the other hand, was having the time of his life. He couldn't believe how much stronger he was after Babidi's dark magic enhancements. The fact that he was able to keep up with 17 without even having the ability to turn Super Saiyan was unbelievable to the young teen. And eventually Trunks dodged the ki blast and kicked Android 17 through an abandoned building right back to the same spot he originally landed on his pockets when Android 18 was laughing at him. Trunks was lightly panicked now from the battle, but he was happy he had just put this machine on his ass again for the second time in their battle since it started, and he flew down after his target, not wanting to let his assault go to waste, or his opportunity for an assault to go to waste. But he was halted when he was forced to block a pink blast that was fired by Android 18, who had decided to step into the mix to his surprise, and his surprise quickly turned into a rage for her interference. Android 18 looked at her brother with a look of disappointment for his sloppiness in his duel, and 17 was mad that she butted in, but she ignored his complaint and stated that he was being reckless in this fight. And even though she believed he would win eventually, the battle he could get injured, and they have no one to repair them if he did, so she decided to step in. Trunks landed in front of the pair with a look of disdain before he insulted the twins that were in front of him. I should have known not to expect honor from a Ken doll and a Barbie. Hell, you androids probably don't even have souls. And the jab stung the party of two, but they ignored it and decided to take this fight more seriously. The two androids dashed towards Majin Trunks from both sides, wanting to knock him off balance in a joint rush. But Trunks remained arrogant as he expected to still come out on top despite his odds. And it was already starting to show that he might be in over his head as he failed to block both of their melee attacks, but he fought back with defiance, using his hatred to power his punches as he battled the duo. Having had enough of the assault, Trunks flared up his aura and fired an explosive wave that pushed the androids off of him, and the force of the counter brought down a building that was behind him, kicking up rubble and debris into the air. And Trunks wasn't done yet. As the dust settled, he put his hands together to fire a Masenko blast at the twins. And the twins got shoulder to shoulder and fired off a double infinity bullet. And the beams collided with a loud bang, rattling the entire city around them as each of them battled each other for dominance. Future Gohan had just woke up from his coma in a cold sweat and looked around his area to see where he was, and he realized he was at Capsule Corp. And then he approached Bulma to ask her how long he had been out, but he saw that she was worried and pacing back and forth, so he asked her what was wrong, and she told him that Trunks had run off on his own, and she felt like he was probably going to go face the androids on his own. And Gohan couldn't believe it, and he was surprised, so he ran out of the building hoping he could help Trunks before it was too late. As Gohan flew in the sky, he focused on finding Trunks' key signature, but he was left confused because the energy he sensed was powerful, and it felt similar to Trunks, but far more dark and sinister. Gohan didn't know what the hell was going on, but he had to find Trunks before it was too late. Majin Trunks was panting after winning his beam struggle. He wondered if the battle was already over. But to his dissatisfaction, 17 and 18 emerged from the debris and the rubble with singed marks and smirks on both of their faces. They then told Trunks that they let him win that beam struggle so he would exhaust even more of his energy, which meant that now any chance he had of winning, which there really wasn't a chance in their opinion, but any chance he had of winning any type of luck was now over, and Trunks grit his teeth at that reveal. And then 17 rushed forward and smacked the taste out of Trunks' mouth with a disrespectful backhand that sent him to the ground on his pockets. Bobby and Dabura watched the encounter slightly disappointed in Trunks' performance, and the wizard believed that the sun was setting on his new minion. But Dabura remained quiet and continued to watch the scene, unsure of his master's conclusion for this battle. Android 17 told Trunks that he had to admit that he might have had a small chance in a 1v1 scenario, but now he was about to be another score for the twins. But the least he could do was die standing like a man after all that trash he had been talking. And as Trunks stood on his own 2 feet, his hatred continued to rise as he glared at the pair with absolute vitriol. Venom came from his lips as he spat his feelings to the duo. I will always stand back up until I'm the one that's standing over you. And then his eyes became white. It was like a dam had broken within the teen, and Trunks' body began to swell with black lightning crackling as yellow particles wrapped around his body as his shirt began to tear itself apart. And then he screamed that he didn't do a deal with the devil to lose to these pricks. And just like that, he had finally done it. Majin Trunks had become a Super Saiyan, and his Super Saiyan was supernatural due to Babidi's black magic, and the androids began to get a little nervous at this new transformation. Majin Trunks laughed as he looked at their uneasy faces before he spoke up. You know, I hope I was wrong earlier about what I said. I hope you bots do have souls, so you can still be in torment when I send you to hell. And that's where we're going to be ending that off. I hope you guys like this. I decided to do a lot of white backgrounds for my images because I can get these videos out faster, so I can crank out more videos. Let me know if you guys like it. I know some people probably read manga, right? It's in white paper. It's kind of like that, but it's still in color with just white backgrounds. I hope you guys rock with it. Let me know in the comment section. Anyways, with that, I'll get on out of here. Peace.